It's so hard for me to talk without crying.
Jenelle Evans and her husband, David Eason, are still making headlines for all the wrong reasons. But instead of dealing with all of the CPS and legal drama quietly, Jenelle has been absolutely losing her mind online lately.
Fine, you're fine, but then I have these outbursts of just crying just out of nowhere.
So let's break down exactly what Jenelle has been doing, because her behavior is seriously unhinged. As I'm sure most of you already know, Jenelle has been lashing out at her critics ever since she lost custody of her 14-year-old son, Jace, last month. But ever since David was charged with physically harming Jace, Jenelle's world has been slowly crumbling. Needless to say, she's been completely spiraling lately.
Just in a constant state of anxiety.
But apparently, the decline in Jenelle's mental health isn't because she feels guilty for letting her son down. Instead, she's still trying to claim that what's been published about the situation involving herself, Jace, and David is nothing but lies.
Of course, everything you're seeing in the tabloids isn't all factual.
It seems like Jenelle is willing to do whatever it takes to try to paint herself and David in a positive light, even if that means totally twisting the truth about everything and broadcasting those lies to the public in a truly bizarre way. For years, she's been blasting media outlets and publications for supposedly writing inaccurate articles about her. But after the U.S. Sun recently published a story about David inappropriately texting Whitney Johnson, his ex-wife and baby mama, Jenelle decided to take matters into her own hands. In a desperate attempt to get people to focus their negativity on Whitney and her husband, Shane, Jenelle started posting unbelievable articles about them on her website. The articles have allegedly been written by either Jenelle Evans' staff or someone by the name of Crystal Eames, but the content seems extremely suspicious. In all of the articles on Jenelle's website, she and David are never at fault for anything, and they're referred to as incredible parents. Not surprisingly, most teen mom followers on social media are convinced that Jenelle has been writing everything for a number of reasons. In one of Jenelle's articles, David is hyped up as a loving, caring parent who has primary custody of Marissa, the teenage daughter he shares with Whitney. In contrast, Whitney and Shane have been dragged on the website, which is incredibly hypocritical. One of the articles called Whitney out for reportedly struggling with substance use several years ago. It also claimed that Shane had allegedly been arrested in the past for domestic violence and physically harming a child. Those details were intentionally phrased in a way that could damage Whitney and Shane's credibility and reputations. But what's really crazy is that Jenelle and David have the exact same criminal charges and past behavior. We watched Jenelle struggle with a horrible substance use problem for quite a while on Teen Mom 2, and it's no secret that David's history is seriously alarming. David doesn't have custody of his son, Caden, because he was charged with domestic violence against the boy's mom, Olivia Leedon. And because Olivia was pregnant with Caden when those awful acts reportedly occurred, David wasn't even allowed to be around them for a long time. Jenelle and David have claimed that whatever happened with Olivia was strictly verbal and ended up getting blown out of proportion. But according to the court documents from their custody battle and the police reports from their past incidents, he inflicted serious harm. It's even more ironic that Jenelle would try to use Shane's criminal record against him, now that David has been charged with physically harming Jace. It's also kind of hilarious that the credit for Jenelle's articles has been given to her staff and whoever Crystal Eames is. On Jenelle's website, Crystal's profile is very new. It only states that the person is a writer, and there are no links to any social media or previous work. But aside from Crystal's name, none of the other people on Jenelle's staff have been listed, which is unbelievably telling. If Jenelle actually had a staff of writers behind her articles, you'd think there would be more than just Crystal's profile listed. But let's be real. The entire staff, Crystal included, is most likely just Jenelle and David. Who else would be delusional enough to write articles that favor toxic, harmful parents and are made of absolute lies? On the other hand, it makes total sense that Jenelle would write such ridiculously one-sided articles. In her eyes, she and David have done nothing wrong. In fact, she's even been trying to shift the blame in a way that's honestly disturbing. Believe it or not, Jenelle has been saying that Child Protective Services has been investigating her and David for a mind-blowing reason. In at least 2 separate videos she shared to her social media, she claimed that they actually needed protection from Jace, but her story just isn't adding up. When all of this started happening and Jace had ran away twice, Jenelle was pleading with her followers to give her son privacy. But after details started getting leaked that exposed her and David for being neglectful and and harmful parents, her tune completely changed. Instead of taking any accountability for her actions, Jenelle's been saying that both her mom, Barbara, and Jace are to blame, which is seriously disgusting. She even claimed that her own son had been a danger to her and David's family.
Our family's actually being protected right now from my son's mental health.
Before Jenelle started catching heat for keeping Jace out of school and standing by as David allegedly harmed him, her narrative was easier to control. She acted like a somewhat normal parent by refusing to talk about her son online. However, since Jenelle can no longer use Jace's privacy as an excuse to cover up the truth, she's seemingly done pretending to be concerned about him. Instead, she's been trying to spin the insane narrative that her own child is somehow at fault. But how she's been doing that is absolutely unreal. Of course, it doesn't seem possible for Jenelle to simply write out how she feels on social media and then put her phone down. Instead, she's been posting cringeworthy TikToks of her long-winded rants and pathetic attempts to gain whatever sympathy she possibly can.
I feel like I have a target on my back ever since I was 16, and it's never going to go away.
In one of Jenelle's manipulative videos, she basically blamed Barbara for mistreating her and spreading lies about her in the media. I'm not saying that Barbara was the perfect parent, but before MTV dropped Jenelle, they filmed her screaming in her mom's face while Jace was present countless times. And Barbara still isn't publicly slamming Jenelle because she actually cares about Jace's best interest and privacy. Jenelle also seems to be forgetting that if she hadn't signed over custody of Jace to Barbara, she likely would have never gotten the chance to be in his life. If Jace had ended up in foster care as a baby, he probably would have been adopted by another family. But according to the Ashley's Reality Roundup, Jace allegedly wants nothing to do with Jenelle anymore because of what she's been saying online. Legally, she's not allowed to be in contact with him unless he reaches out to her first. But instead of trying to get back in her son's good graces, she's doubling down and claiming that both she and David are innocent. In one of Jenelle's latest TikToks, she tried to fire back at everyone who had been accusing her of always choosing men over her kids. But how she defended staying with David after he physically harmed Jace was truly unbelievable. For some strange reason, Jenelle attempted to shut down the people who had called her out by bringing up how long David has been in her life.
Someone I was with since 2015.
Apparently, that means David is more of a priority to her, even though Jace was born in 2009. But that doesn't matter to Jenelle anyway, since she doesn't understand why anyone would want her to choose between them.
David's part of our family, and I'm not going to choose one person or the other.
I feel like any parent in their right mind wouldn't even hesitate to choose their child over any adult who had been charged with physically harming them. But not surprisingly, the whole reason why people are so upset with Jenelle went completely over her head.
So you're saying I should stay single the rest of my life, have no man, and just be by myself?
I mean, no one directly said that was what they wanted her to do, but almost everyone agrees that Jenelle deciding to stay with a man who she previously admitted had caused harm to her, Kaiser, and Inslee is a terrible choice. But instead of making any positive changes, Jenelle has only been making ridiculous TikToks and poor life decisions. It seems like the more she continues to spiral lately, the crazier her social media content and behavior gets. From victim blaming her own son to writing super biased and untrue articles, it's clear that Jenelle is losing it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what kind of delusional videos she posts next, since it's extremely unlikely that she'll ever take responsibility for her actions. But now that we've gotten into Jenelle's latest insane rants and her bizarre online behavior, I want to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on these seriously one-sided articles that she's been posting on her website? Are you surprised that she's still acting like she and David are being falsely accused of mistreating Jace, despite numerous details that have proven otherwise? Let me know in the comments below.